Hi guys, Dr. Mel here. We're busy with quantitative aspects. We can't do chemistry without knowing what the number of atoms, the number of molecules are going in, being produced, and we're going to have a look at the empirical formula now. So we've covered the moles, so let's have a look at the empirical formula. The first molecule I'm giving you is the oxygen and the two hydrogens. So you've got a molecule, and the molecule is comprised of one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms. If I ask you how many water, because that is water, I have atoms, I would say in each of these I'll have two hydrogen and one oxygen. So what is this empirical formula? It's the simplest whole number. The simplest whole number. If I had, for instance, H14O7, that would be one or other compound. And if I then get the simplest quantity, if I divide that with 7 and this with 7, can you see I then get H2O? So this would not be the empirical formula. We'll call that the molecular formula. But I'm now working with the empirical formula, which is the simplest, and it has to be a whole number. We never work with fractions. Right. If I'm being asked, what is the empirical formula for water? I know one molecule will have two atoms of hydrogen, do you see, and one atom of oxygen. If I had 1 mole of molecules, I would then have 2 times 6 to the power of 23 atoms of oxygen, hydrogen, and 1 times 6.02 to the power of 23 atoms of oxygen. So you have to know, if, as soon as I'm mentioning a mole, it would have that number. I could have said a dozen. We don't work in dozen. But if I said a dozen, you know it would be something times 12. So then I would have 2 times 12, 24 hydrogen, and 1 times 12, which gives me 12 oxygen. So the mole is a very specific number. Let's go to this molecule that I've got in front of you. Here you see I've got 1 carbon, 2 carbons, 3 carbons, and 4 carbons. I also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hydrogens. So what I have here is the carbons, you know, we've got 4 of them, and the hydrogen, we've got 10 of them. So what would this molecule be? It would be C4H10. Is that the simplest form? No, I could divide both of these numbers with 2. So the simplest form would be C2H5. You see where we're getting to in terms of the simplest form. And then again, if I've got 1 mole, I've got 4 and 10, and then it would be specifically the Avogadro number. We're going to do a few calculations just now, and you'll see where it applies. So a molecular molecule will get, a formula will give me the whole molecule. The empirical will be the simplest one. So the molecular will say C4H10. The empirical will be that divided so that I've got the simplest form. Right, I'm going back to a picture that I've shown you before. I've got a pizza here, and if we divide this picture in pieces, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. If you got 1 piece, you actually got 1/8. If you got 2 pieces, you got 2/8, which is a quarter. Can you see fractions, which we've done since primary school? It's very important when we do chemistry, and specifically quantitative chemistry. I also have here the compound which we call air. Now, air is consisting nitrogen, 78% of air will be nitrogen gas, and you know it's a diatom. Can you see here almost 21% oxygen, and there's a few other smaller amounts of other gases. So what we have here is a percentage contribution to the air that we have, and we know that 100% will be all of these added together. Now let's have a look at the empirical formula of this specific compound. So they're giving me the compound that I have. It's got 43, that's almost a quarter, 43.4% sodium. Can you see there? I've got sodium. 11.3, that's another portion. Let me do that in another color, a smaller portion. 11.3% carbon. And then 45% oxygen. So that's the composition of this compound. I'm now going to show you how you calculate the empirical formula. We'll assume if we add these 3 together, and we don't have to assume, you can actually do that. If you add these 3 figures together, you'll actually get 100 grams. It's 100%. So we say now 100% is representative of 100 grams. So 43.4 grams of sodium is actually a part or a portion of the 100 gram, because they will all total to become the percentage, which is 100%. I've got 11.3 grams of carbon, and I've got 45.3 grams. Again, these 3 together gives me 100 grams. Now, what is the molar mass? Now, remember, we got the molar mass in the periodic table to calculate the moles. So, go and have a look on your periodic table. You should get 23 grams as the molar mass for sodium, 12 grams as the molar mass for carbon, and 16 grams molar mass of oxygen. You then go and calculate your moles, and you've done that before. You then divide 43.4 with 23, 11.3 with 12, 45.3 with 16. And if you do your accurate calculations, you will get an answer here of 1.8869, 0.9416, and 2.83125. Now that's the accurate calculation. If I calculated the masses that they've given me with my molar masses to get my moles. Now I've got the moles now. So I'm just going to round the numbers that we just found. Here I've got 1.89 mole. I've got 0.94 mole. And I've got 2.83 mole. So I've got all 3 of them in the unit mole. I'm now going to divide them with the smallest of the 3. 1.89 is larger than 0.94, and 0.94 seems to be the smallest number. So I'm going to write down each of these, and I'm going to divide it with the smallest one. Now, why do we divide with the smallest one? I'm just going to do that so that you get round whole numbers. Can you see? Immediately this calculation gives me a value of 1. And that's the purpose for dividing with the smallest number. Now you're getting whole numbers. This one will be 2.01, which we could then calculate to be 2. This one is 1, and if you do this calculation, you'll get 3.01. If we round that, that's 3. What was the question? Find the empirical formula for this compound. So what did we do now? We said there's 2 sodiums. Can you see where that 2 goes? I've got 1 carbon and I've got 3 of the oxygen. And if you go and have a look at what you've done before, you will know sodium, because it's got the charge of 1, 2 of them will bind to 1 carbonate. And can you see that's exactly the formula that I've got? Na2, there we have it, 1 carbon and 3 oxygen. That's how we determine the empirical formula. Let's do another one. I've got a question, determine the empirical formula for the compound, and then they give me the constitution. So what do I have? The composition is made out of potassium, out of chlorine, and oxygen. All 3 of them together, you will get a value of 100 grams. So I'm saying 100% is equal to 100 grams. I've got 29%. Do you see that? So I can say that's grams of chlorine. I've got 32 grams of potassium, and I've got 39 grams of oxygen. Do you remember what to do now? Remember, we want to get the moles. So I'll go and find the molecular mass on the periodic table. The potassium will be 39. The chlorine will be 35.5. And oxygen will be 60. If I now do my calculation, you are going to do 32 over 39. Remember, that is m over m. You'll get a value here of 0.82. Here I got a value of 0.81. And here I got a value of 2.44. Can you remember what to do next? I want to get whole numbers. So let's go and do that. I've got 0.82 here, 0.81 here, 2.44. And to get a whole number, I'm dividing with the smallest number. And in this case, the smallest number will be 0.81. And that's almost 0.82. And that will give me then a value of 1. And that's what I'm trying to get whole numbers. Now, if you divide that, this one is 0.82 over 0.81, which is almost 1. This is 1, and this one has a value of 2.97. And if I round these, I've got 1 potassium with 1 chlorine with 3 oxygens. So what will the empirical formula be? Potassium 1, chlorine 1, 3 oxygen, and we don't write the values of 1. So I've got potassium chlorate, which has got that empirical formula. It's very nice working with these if you know what you're doing. So guys, remember, we're working with moles. All of the chemistry usually goes back to mole. You have to be able to calculate the mole. And what did we do? We equated them to 100 grams, and then we worked out the mole, divided it by the smallest, got a whole number, and then wrote down the empirical formula. You have to be able to define the empirical formula. Remember, it's the simplest form, and you have to be able to determine the empirical formula if they give you the percentages that is in this specific compound. I hope you get accurate answers and it makes sense, and that you can take this and continue with the rest of the chemistry. Bye-bye.